Today is a very special event. We are inaugurating the website that is the initiative of Olivia Greco, our new young dynamic volunteer. And it is right in the spirit of saving our stories. And it's also in the spirit of modern technology too. So we are very pleased to have her with us. We've done some oral history work in the past. In 1980, the Italians in Chicago project did 100 oral histories with a representative sample of people from dozen Chicago neighborhoods and suburbs, and that was eventually digitized, and it's on our research website. You can go to it, but it's separate from the website we're talking about today. We'll give you more information about that later. But this is in the spirit of social history, the history of ordinary people. And let's face it, most of us are fairly ordinary. And most history in the past was the history of the elites, rich white men, or above, generals, presidents, and kings, and all that sort of thing. But what were the ordinary people living like in the days? What were the ordinary immigrants, run-of-the-mill, the immigrants who didn't make the newspapers because of their success or their failure or the whatever? What about our own families? Are we a part of history? Is the big question that social history asks. And the answer is, La storia siamo noi. Anybody want to translate that?
We are stories.
We are the stories.
We are history.
We are history. We are history. And a big goal that I've always had is for people to come to the Casa Italia and see themselves in history, in our Italians in Chicago exhibit or in the art exhibits. We are a part of this. These great artworks were created by people like me, or people not unlike me, or whatever. So we can claim to be, legitimately claim to be a part of history. La storia siamo noi. So, I'll turn it over now to Olivia Greco, who will introduce the website and introduce several people who have actually gone through the paces that the website requests. And then we'll have a writing seminar here among ourselves. We'll each do a vignette to submit to the website. Without further ado, our celebrity of the day, Olivia Greco.
Hey, hi, I'm Olivia, and I've been working here
all the volunteers at the Italian Cultural Center to present this website. TV turned off, pardon me. But this is our website. So the website is www.savingitalianamericanstories.com, and we are based off of stories in the Chicagoland area. I didn't want to put that in the domain because the domain is already too long. We want to keep it as small and simple as possible. So it's savingitalianamericanstories.com, and then this is going to be the home page when you get right into it. So the first page, if you scroll down, has a little bit of a synopsis of everything that you will be able to see. So we have a little bit of an about us with the cultural center, with the volunteers, anything like that. A little synopsis. We have a monthly writing topic, which I will get to in a moment. We have our projects and events tab, which is kind of talking about the cultural center exhibits, what you can see here. Dominic's Sabato Culturale events, which you guys obviously know about. And then our library and archive is another resource tool that we do have here, so I wanted to make it a separate tab. You can go ahead and read all of these. And then we also have, hopefully as we grow the website, we will have more pictures about the website and what it offers. This is just kind of like a rough draft picture-wise. But all of the pictures, if you click on them, they will have a little synopsis of the picture, just so you can get a clear view of what happens here. And then here at the bottom is the first place where you can write your stories. So it's just this little tiny sheet. You just need to do your first and your last name, your email and your phone number. So if we do have any questions, we can contact you. And then right here in this little box, you can write your whole story down. There's no limit to the box. And you just type it in right there. And then you can send it and submit it, and it'll come right to my account. So I can see them, I'll read through them, and I will be able to post them on the archive for you. So it's very simple. It's all right here. You don't have to email me directly, email me personally, anything like that. I'm sorry, did I move that right in your way? Thank you. So that is the main first page. But when you go up to here, all of these little tabs up here, this is going to be where you can reach everything else on the page. So this is the first page. This is our About Us. I wanted to make sure that I had a picture of Father Fecha because he is very instrumental in the cultural center in this building here. So I went through our archives and I found this photo of some sort of cultural center unveiling, and I thought it fit perfectly. There's more of a bio. And then once again, you have another place where you can look at our archives, workshops, lectures, things that we hold here at Casa Italia. And then a picture of you guys, which I thought was I wanted to include as many people in our community as possible because that's what this website is all about. The next page is our news and events tab. This is where we will be promoting our Sabato Culturales. Bi-weekly, they will change. This is obviously the event that you're at today. And then they'll give you a little synopsis, when it is, what time, etc. And then I just have another event coming up, which is the Gala through us, and then a link to the Casa Italia page. The next one is the writing post tab. This was seen on the first page as well. We have decided that each month we will help you guys with the writing process a little bit by giving you guys a starting point, a prompt of some sort. So because we're starting this in Italian American Heritage Month, we decided that it would be a great prompt to start off with stories and storytellers. So every family has its storytellers. Who kept the past alive in your family? What tales were you told about Italy, immigration, or neighborhood life? Share the stories that stuck with you and the voices that carried them. And then there's just a little picture. You can go ahead, and this will be a great way to kind of hone in what you're talking about. Since there's so many things that you could probably talk about, with the prompts it's easier to kind of zoom in on anything. So right now we only have one prompt, but as the months go on, there will be more prompts that you can go ahead and see. So it'll help you with that. This is the Write Your Story tab. This is another place where you can go and fill out the form. This is a little bit more official than the one on the first page, just because it kind of has a little bit of instructions. So it says on the contact sheet below, please fill out your information. So if need be, we can get in contact with you about your story. In the message tab, you may write what you wish to submit, or you may email it directly to us at CasaItalia@gmail.com. So me and Dominic will be going through the stories as well. Please do not make your story too long. You will see that most of the stories that will be presented today is probably about a page and a half. And you can see that you can do a lot with just 2 pages. And do not write a biography about a family member. Writing about a family member is highly encouraged, but we request concise stories about a personal life. So don't start toward birth and go all the way to death, or if they're still alive up till now. Or we will request that it's one life, one story, and you can write as many stories as you'd like. You can submit as many times as you like. I will be doing 2 or 3, but I will only be presenting 1 today. So you can do as many as you like. And then please make sure that the story is in the Chicagoland area, just to kind of concise our library to the Chicagoland area, so it's a little bit more easy to manage, and so it's not too big. And then, of course, if you'd like to publish a larger work or an autobiography about you and your family, please feel free to contact us, because we help people publish their family histories, and we've done so with about 20 books. So it's really important that if you do like what we're doing and you want to do something more, we can help you with that as well. So there's that. And then the big final thing is our archive. This is what our archive is going to look like. And it's just a long list of things that have been put onto the website. Right now it's it doesn't look too full because there's only 4 submissions. Only 2 of them are 100% finished. But it will look like these 2 right here. You are able to submit us a picture. You are able to tell me what you want as the small bio before you go to the page. And then if you click on it to read more, it's the title, what's it about, a picture of your family, a picture of the people you're telling about, and then the story. So this is my story. This is a page long, but you don't have to format it in this way. This is very loose. There's not a lot of rules. You can do pretty much however you want to write it. If you want to do it in a poetry style, go ahead. It's really just if you feel the way you want to tell your stories is the way that we want to share them. And then because there's going to be so many stories, hopefully, we have a fantastic search bar up at the top. It's this little thing, this little search magnifying glass. And this, you can search places, names, authors. So if I wanted to look for things that were just written by me, you can type in the name. Oh, darn. There we go. You can type in the name, and every single instance of that name will pop up in the archive. If you wanted to do the person who you're writing about. So I'm going to be doing 2 stories about Robert Cozy, who is my grandfather. If I wanted to talk about anybody named Robert Cozy will be able to pop up through all of the stories. If I wanted to do something like Taylor Street, I know me and Val talk about Taylor Street in both of our entries, so both will be able to pop up. It's super easy to use. If you want, you can use more than 1 word in the search at a time. So you can do place and person. You can do, it's very, very, very easy to use. I wanted to make sure that it was easy to use so it's accessible to everybody who has a story that they want to tell. So I think that's the basis of the website. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
So if you, like, you type in that search bar, like if I just typed in Rome, Italy, anybody that wrote a story that Rome, Italy would be in, it would highlight it so I could find that way. Okay.
So if you want to see people that are from a certain place in Italy.
Yeah.
So I have family from Calabria who moved to Taylor Street. If I want to do Calabria and Taylor Street, if you type it into the search bar, everything that talks about that issue, that topic will come up.
But going forward, like, let's say there's 100 stories, so you type in Calabria, every story that says Calabria will be
Yes.
highlighted.
So if
Okay.
you want to narrow it down from the 100, you just have to do a comma and then any other word that you would like to put in there as well. So if I'm talking about Calabria, stories by Olivia Greco, that is another way to just get stories about Calabria that are from a certain author. So it's super easy. Yes?
So, you know, sometimes families are sensitive about having their stories just put out there. So can you write a story, let's say, that is a story about your grandmother and something that your grandmother always said to you? Because you know that other people in the family don't like their personal histories exposed like this.
Well, I think that that's a very interesting question. I think that for, at least when I was doing it, I was talking about it with my family. If anybody has any objections to it, that they would definitely come towards me and say, hey, I'm not really sure what you're writing about. Why would you be writing this? I think that if there is a sore subject or a sore topic on certain parts of family, that you would be, as a writer, be a little bit cautious. And it really depends on, like, if it's, as for me, I'm not the person who lived this experience, but I was talking to somebody who did live the experience. So I think it depends on who you're talking to. If someone's talking to you directly and has told you this, I think that that's fair to put on the website, like you said. But if it is somebody who has since passed on that you would like to share the story, I don't see a problem with maybe talking with other people in your family to kind of share what you guys have heard about a certain story, a certain memory. But I think it just depends on the family and the type of story that you want to share. Does that answer your question?
No.
Well, we should make it clear that if they don't want people to be identifiable, they can change names
Yeah.
and things of that sort.
If you don't want it attached to the family, you can tell us that in
And
the
if you
messages.
don't want your name publicly attached to your article, we could honor that as well.
Yes.
I can
We
see.
could give you
There's greed of Carlisle's
maybe no name or anonymous or assigned. You can create a Mark Twain name or something
Yeah.
like that. Like that. And I think we should also say that the rights to the material remain with the writer. And if we ever go to publish this stuff in a book, we would ask them
Yes.
for their permission.
Yes, this is your story.
Some of those,
I was just gonna say, that's such a common issue, especially in Italian-American community. When you read the history of the most famous writers, Italian-American writers, that issue was a big one. So they usually didn't want to be too autobiographical. They didn't want it to be revealed. And that is how a lot of the stories were lost, because people didn't want to talk about things, especially if it were about struggle or some sort of negativity. So there are so many of the really well-known Italian-American writers that speak about, I couldn't write this until so-and-so died, or I had to change names in different ways. So, I mean, that's a very real issue. And I think fiction helped a lot of people with that, by fictionalizing things that were based on perhaps real stories. So again, here we're looking at actual history, so maybe, you know, within my family there was, as opposed to, but I guess that comes down to the individual writer and their own level of comfort, which I think is exactly what you were getting at, Olivia, so.
Did you have something?
I mean, it just seems kind of like you have this basis, they want to write it, they write it, they don't want to write it, don't write it.
Yeah.
If they put a name in, that's up to them. If they got to fight in their own family,
Well, it's not just
that ain't our problem.
too. Is it a fight if they say something that may not be accurate?
What I'm saying is it's amongst their family. We can't edit what they're saying.
No, I'm not saying that.
So then whose problem
That's
would it
okay.
be?
That's,
It would be their problem, correct?
And if you do have a problem.
And if they
with
want to
your
delete
family-
it, delete it.
Yeah, if you do have a problem in your family, we can archive it to the point where you cannot see it on the website.
Sure,
You
because
just
it's
have to
not
contact us
permanently
and we can
published.
figure out which one it is, and we'll be able to help you through any issues that you might be having. Whether you have to edit something, change something, it's not set in stone where you write it and here it is. Everything that is on the website, I can go in and edit. Not that I will be like some overlord changing everybody's stories or anything like that, but if you come to me or Dominic and say, I wish to have this changed, or I got something wrong, or this needs to be taken out, it's very easy to change it, for sure. Yeah, no
Can I ask
problem.
one other question too? I haven't had a chance to really interact a lot, but I'm hoping to work more with you on the project.
Of course.
Is there a mission for the website? I mean, there are different reasons to save your stories. Is this just for your personal use, share your story, here's a way to get it out there and we'll work with you? Or are we soliciting things, we're telling people, this is a website where you're going to be read by others, or there's an eye potentially towards publication in the future? I mean, I think the type of people who will respond will, in part, mesh up with what the stated mission of the website is. So I was just wondering if you could maybe address that.
At the moment, it's just for collaborative and educational purposes. I did start this project after looking at, I studied abroad in Ireland, and they have a website called Duchess, which is their historical archive from people who live in the community of Irish culture. And they were all given a task to write something for the Duchess website back in the 1930s. And it's published, and you can go ahead and look at it. And when I was in Ireland, I took an Irish folklore class, and that website was used as a primary source to use to write my thesis paper for my final.
Right.
So that's where I got the idea. I've always had this thing of we need a place where people can come together and write their stuff. But after seeing Duchess, it was, okay, we can use this as an archive. So at the moment, it's just kind of educational purposes, but it depends on how it grows and how many people contribute. It's still very in the dark for me, just because I hope this doesn't fail, but I want it to succeed, and I want it to be a place where if you do have even questions about your own family, you can search up something and maybe go find something along the lines of a family tree or anything like that.
I think it's a brilliant idea. Congratulations for all the hard work you've put into it already. So originally out there, it's here's a place to get your story out there in a format where others will be able to view it and share it and then eventually, as it grows, be able to make connections between the community.
Yes.
Did I summarize that? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. It's all community based. I wanted it so, like Dominic said, everybody has a voice, anybody can write it. If you want me to check your grammar, I can check that before I submit it to the website. But I'm not gonna change your voice, I'm not gonna change your style. It is entirely how you would like to write your story. And that is the most important part of the website, for sure. And I know Dominic wants to speak beforehand, but we actually have 3 people who are going to be telling their stories to kind of give you an idea of what to write or how to write it. And all 3 of them have different styles of writing. So hopefully that'll give you kind of an idea, okay? Do you want to take that?
So, I think I mentioned my points when in the introduction, but I'll repeat them. La storia siamo noi. History is us. We are history. This is something that has, in the last 100 years or so, the concept of just what is history has moved from a chronicling of the rich and the wealthy and the powerful, the kings and prime ministers and presidents, usually all white men, to the story of the whole society, the story of the more ordinary people, the story of women, the story of minority groups, the story of Italian Americans, African Americans, Hispanics, the whole series. We are history. And how are we going to save it? Well, we're going to save it by telling or preserving what ordinary people who experience that history have to say about it, or what they remember of the past. And we're at a crisis point. There are few who remember the immigration period of the 1930s or 40s or 50s or 60s, 70s, or even the 80s. When Italians were in the process of doing immigration to the U.S. So this is important work that we're doing to save our stories. And that is the motto of the Italian Cultural Center, Casa Italia, and it's written into the title, into the HTTPS of this website. So that's a brilliant. It's brilliant that you were able to get that. I'm surprised that it hasn't been claimed by all sorts of other people, but we got it, and we're going to use it, play it for all it's worth. And so this is very worthwhile stuff. We got to do it. We got to get people involved. We got to get people more interested in things like this, rather than just the social interaction that with other Italian Americans that has been so popular with our people. Anyhow, good luck. I think we might need a little bit of tweaking on this and that, but this is otherwise perfect, great graphics, modern looking, and I'm really pleased with it. And we're going to require all of our card-carrying volunteers to submit something every week, if not every day, if not every hour. The way people tweet, you can do this almost as you tweet. I remember when tweeting first started, people would tweet every 5 minutes what the hell they were doing. And why they were doing that, I have no idea. We don't want that, but we want you to, remember Uncle so-and-so, and write a few lines about Uncle so-and-so and submit it. Little fragments, and you can put them all together later. Good luck, and thanks for our presenters today. You're true pioneers, and you'll go down in history. And we're making sure that for as long as the internet survives.
I will go first. Oh, thank you. So I will go first about my grandfather. I have many Italian American stories from my grandmother's side, but she lives in Iowa, so I have to call her and we have to get some stories together. But this is about my mom's side of the family. And I just want to say that before I write this, or I share this, my papa told me that I should not write about him because his life was boring and it would be a boring story. And that right there is the reason why I wanted to do this. Yeah. Because he did not think that his life was important enough to write about. And I'm very grateful that I am able to do this for him. So my papa's first entry is about his history with Hull House.
We can close that one.
I thought it was like a mouse. I was like, what was that?
Somebody
It was very heavy.
Put the chair in front of it.
Yeah, not a problem.
I think your grandmother bought me some.
Probably. Okay. My grandfather, Robert Cozy, lived in the Taylor Street neighborhood until 1957. Like most in the area, the Cozy family was a large bunch. Papa was the third youngest of 7 siblings, all living together on 1033 South Morgan. His parents, my great-grandparents, were U.S. citizens but spoke English and Italian, yet refused to teach their children Italian. They were Americanizing the family, very quickly, and the first thing to go was the language. Papa told me that his mother's parents barely spoke English as they were not citizens, and his mother was taught English by counselors and teachers at Hull House. The Chicago staple, Hull House, was a settlement house on Halsted Street that was founded to serve immigrant families in need. This was where my great-grandparents learned how to speak English and learned how to sew and even learned how to play instruments through the organization. But it wasn't just for my great-grandparents. My papa remembers going there quite a bit in his youth. He would go there after school and learn how to play different sports and hang out with other children in the area. And if he needed help with school or any help with anything at home, he said that a counselor would always be there in need to help him with anything. He also mentioned that over the summer, they would send kids away to a summer camp for 2 weeks in Waukegan, so the city children could get away and see more of what nature would have to offer. All year round, Hull House was open for kids, teens, and adults, offering services and offering to help people in the community who would need it. Papa remembers a man who worked at Hull House who they called Johnny Keys. He was the man who made Hull House run throughout the 1950s. If you needed any help, he would set you up with a counselor, or he would try to get you the help that you needed, whether you were young or old. My mom went there when she was a kid, but she didn't use the Hull House services after the Great Depression, my papa told me as I nailed him with questions. He did not remember his mother going there since he was born in 1941, after the Great Depression. But as I asked him about Hull House, he had some wonderful memories of himself at Hull House before they moved off of South Morgan. Papa told me one of the most unique things about Hull House was that it was not just for the Italian immigrants in the community, but he remembers talking to Jewish, Polish, Irish, Mexican, all different ethnic groups that were helped by Hull House. The thing he remembers most about Hull House is the community and how it helped everyone, no matter who. He wished Hull House was still around today to help people in need in the community, just like they did for his family so long ago. And then we have 2 more presenters. You can go next,
Yes.
if you'd like.
Please introduce yourself.
Okay, hi, I'm Valerie Gigante. I'm going to be talking about my father, Edward Gigante, who has passed on. So he grew up on Taylor Street. My father, Edward Carmen Gigante, was born in 1935, the son of immigrants from Fiori Grota and Saviano, Naples, Italy. Chicago was still wearing the shadow of the Depression, but on Taylor Street, the air was alive. He was born on 1027 West Taylor Street and later moved to 718 Aberdeen. At just 8 years old, my father had thick blue-black hair, olive skin, and glossy eyes that could charm a crowd without a single word. One night at the Catholic Youth Organization, better known as the CYO, he stepped up to the microphone and sang That Lucky Old Son by Frankie Lane. The crowd went absolutely wild. They wondered, who is this kid? He sounded just like Frankie Lane. No one could have believed that a kid so small could have a voice that big. Everyone wanted to be his friend. That's when the coolest kids, soon after, Eddie wandered over to Sheridan Park, giving a girl a push on the swings. That's when the neighborhood's coolest kids came strutting up. Patsy Scudiero, Tony Anthony Razzo, and Johnny Scorch Travola. Scorched was the nickname because he used to scorch people in insults. So they're like, oh, watch out for Johnny Scorch Travola. So come with us, Eddie, they said. He left the swing, girl and all, and never looked back. That day, he found his best friends for his entire life. When Eddie was 9, his father, Cyril, passed away at 718, the very same number of the home that they lived in, which was kind of ironic. His mother, Philomena Gigante, was suddenly a widow, raising 2 young boys. As Eddie grew into his teens, his friends and him ruled the gangways of Taylor Street. The buildings were so close together, they actually would leap from building to building like Spider-Man. As they got older, their style got sharper, their hair grew taller and slicker, and they actually had huge pompadours, which gave them their famous group name, the Comb Your Hair Gang. In fact, they would always carry steel combs in their pockets to comb their huge mountainous hair. Meanwhile, Eddie's mother, my beautiful grandma, Philomena Gigante, would disappear for hours cooking her famous pasta fazool, among others, at all-night poker games run by the men on Taylor Street who only gave them their legend. Taylor Street's legend, sorry, butchered that. And then I, Valerie Gigante, showed up way later in the 80s. My father was much older. He was born in the 30s. I was born in the 80s. And that was basically Taylor Street in my father's youth, filled with music, great food, mischief, sometimes pain, and of course family. And that's it. That's what I got.
So my name's Isabella Rosinia. Something that I'm really interested in is not just history, but connecting history to the current story, I guess, of our lives. So for me, my story is a little bit more of a conversational one. I grew up and still live on Taylor Street, and what I found to be really interesting is when I tell people I'm Italian and I live on Taylor Street, they say, oh, you're one of the rarest people now, because a lot of people, like previous speakers, have had family that came from Italy to live on Taylor Street. And unfortunately, we've gone through the cultural assimilation, and we've had the university come in, which has been both beneficial and detrimental to our culture. And that's kind of moved some people out towards the suburbs, where we've also found little Italian hubs to commemorate our culture. So my dad's family's story starts in 1907 when his father's family, prior to my grandpa being born, came to Taylor Street in Chicago from the Abruzzo region of Italy. So they came here obviously speaking only Italian with the little amount of money and resources that they had. They settled on 1015 South Racine, which is currently the building that my aunt resides in. So in 1922, shortly after their arrival, my grandpa was born in the 3rd floor rear apartment. And from there, they kind of tried to do with what they had. They finally were able to gain the resources by working really hard at Blackstone. And they acquired their first little property in the 900 South block of Racine Avenue. In the 1960s, then we had UIC come in, and their building was then taken over. So my grandpa made it his mission to do with what he had, with his skills of hard working, and he was able to acquire a couple more properties on Taylor Street, on Racine Avenue, in the Taylor Street neighborhood. So it's really the power of family, I think, that is what kept everything going. We had the Rosinia name, and there were cousins that were living on the block. We had a couple of judges, and it was really great that we had these resources. So I guess once my dad was born, they had 1015, 1027, and 1029. My dad with his sister, my grandma and grandpa lived in 1029. That building is still in our family today. I would be visiting, my family, I guess, once I was born, was moving to 1027 South Racine. We visited my grandparents next door on a daily basis. So it was great to have those stories that I'm gonna hope to publish on the archive soon. Once my grandpa passed away in 2012, my grandma moved to the bottom floor of 1027. So it's been really great just to have these buildings and family so close to us, living off of Taylor Street on Racine Avenue. And yeah, I look forward to sharing more stories based on the experiences that we've had and the culture that we share. Something that's been really important to us, that's been a constant in the neighborhood regardless of the cultural changes, is the Shrine of Our Lady of Pompeii. It's been a really important place for my family. My grandparents got married there, my dad and my aunt were baptized there. My parents met there and then got engaged at the shrine, got married at the shrine, and then I was baptized there. With the shrine's current state, it's really great that we've had the resources to be able to redo it and remodel, and I look forward to kind of continuing this cultural history into the present and being able to have stories for my family and my family to come to be able to share about our Italian heritage. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to pass around the book, the attendance book. If you haven't been at Casa Italia before, especially, we'd like to have your name and your email address. We won't spam you too much. If we do bother you, send us an email back and we'll stop. Those are the three presentations that we made. Okay, so I think they were excellent beginnings, telling the stories and the connections with the past, and illustrating how, yes, indeed, we are a part of history. We are history. And so the next portion of this, I guess we're going to go through a writing. This is actually going to be a workshop. We're going to ask you to write your. What are the parameters of this?
Kind of just what I said, just like a little bit. If you want to, there you go. If you want to write something, we have some pens as well if you guys need them. This is just like a small little exercise that you guys can do, just to show you how simple the ideas can come to you, and especially since Dominic is a professor, he knows how to write very well as a published author. So if you need any help, he'll be able to help you come up with like ideas, as well as me. Hopefully you have some ideas after the prompt that Carla had brought up to us, and our stories as well that we have shared. Hopefully something comes to you. Does anybody need a pen? Anybody?
Yeah, I'm a little bit older than most of you, but if I can think back of the kind of peculiar things that went on within my family, here are some of the things that I can remember. First of all, the passing of heads to get rid of the malocchio. If you had a really bad headache, there were certain women who knew how to do it, and there were these procedures. They had water and oil in a pan, in a dish, and a candle or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. They did some massaging. Maybe they used a little bit of oil in that massaging. And they had supposedly learned how to do this only on Christmas Eve, is when you could pass on the regulations on how, the rules and regulations and the techniques of passing the head. And if you had a bad headache, why, oftentimes that massaging of the head and the prayers, the mumble, I don't remember what the prayers were, but of course they were always in Italian, and usually in some dialect that most Italians, modern Italians, might not recognize. But that was something really strange. And then I remember them making sausage. They got these big pork things, big quarters of pork, and they cut them down. They cut them down into little pieces. Then they put them in a pile, and they always had what they called a spazza. It was a big board. A big board that they put on top of the table, and they piled it up high. They put all the spices in, and one of the things, and they also, the people were from Amazzano, my mother's hometown. They cut little pieces of orange peel and put them in the sausage, which made it special. And then they had the machine, you grind, and it had a tube that went out. And then they had these intestines that they I don't know, what were they? Casings and all that. But to work with them, you had to blow them up. You had to, and it would blow up like a tube. And then only you can slip that tube over the nozzle of the grinder. And then you start grinding, and it took a long time, but you had to keep doing it. You couldn't really stop and let it sit for a while. That was not a good idea. And then I remember them giving them to my aunt and uncle, who had a corner store, and they would sell the sausage. And there was also, they made a lot of it, and they would put the sausage in the attic and let it dry there. And then, I don't know, months later, it would be dried sausage, and you could eat it without cooking it. When I first went to college in 1958, I brought some of that with me. And I was paired up with a roommate who was a Jew. I pulled out that raw pork sausage and started eating it. And he was aghast that someone would do that. So these people knew how to do for themselves. They made soap. They canned tomatoes, and I'm not telling you they canned a dozen bottles of tomatoes. They canned 100 bottles of tomatoes, if not more. And they didn't stop at tomatoes, whatever vegetable they were doing. They knew how to do things in a way that a lot of us don't know how to do things today. So those are some of the kinds of things that I remember. Maybe specific things, some smells. They say that the sense of smell is the thing that brings back memories most directly. Or a particular sight of someone happy or sad or triumphant, or hitting the ball out of the park, experience in gaining acceptance, or of say an athlete, that would be something that's important. So go ahead, think about your past. Think about the interesting, maybe weird or maybe normal people who helped to shape your life, and how the Italianness or the family culture impacted them and impacted you. And tell their story. And do it as a tribute, as an obligation. You owe it to your family to leave some memory of them. And, well, you probably want to make it a positive one, but even if it's a negative one, let it be. Let it be. Let's remember them. Let's remember our experience.